Hello, sorry to jump in here at the beginning of the video, but since recording the video and now we crossed 100 subscribers, so I just wanted to say at the top, thank you very much. And now, on with the video. Hello, I'm Henry, and I read a book. I read this book, Scott Pilgrim and the Infinite Sadness by Brian Lee O'Malley, and I would like to talk about it, please. Okay, here we are. Part 3 of the series in which we are looking at the superhuman specifics of one Mr. Scottford Pilgrim by going through all of the Scott Pilgrim books and documenting every superhuman thing he does. Then taking each of those superhuman feats and running it by the Superpower Wiki to confirm the exact superhuman ability he has, instead of just lumping everything together under the video gamey stuff umbrella. And then adding each ability to an itemized list, which, by the time we finish the 6th book, should allow us to answer the question, can Scott Pilgrim beat Superman in a fight? So how far have we come? What can Scott Pilgrim do in the first 2 books? Well, quite a lot actually. Number 1, Scott has a subspace highway running through his head. We haven't really tinkered around with this, as he hasn't actually done anything with it yet. But it's there, and it may come up later. I can't actually remember. Number 2, Scott can break the 4th wall. This was, we found, a limited form of 4th wall awareness. Knowing that the wall is there, but not being able to interact with it or manipulate it in any way. Here's a spoiler for the rest of this video. This changes drastically, so stay tuned. Number 3, Scott's got a whole bunch of superness. He's super strong, super fast, super durable, super agile, super balanced, etc., so on and so forth. In the first video, we concluded that he has what the wiki calls a Type 2 enhanced body, which made him strong, but not really anything that would make a difference in the fight with the Superman. That changed in the second video, where after kicking a guy so hard he caught on fire and being chucked into a building with no visible effects, we upgraded Scott from the Type 2 enhanced body to a supernatural body. This is a pretty big deal because the supernatural body is sort of the base level for Superman, meaning Scott is maybe not quite his physical match, but he's not a million miles away. Number 4, we saw a reflective defensive force field from him, falling under the wiki's categories of basic force field generation to somewhere close to advanced force field generation. Not really a game changer. Number 5, after image creation, as an extension of illusion manipulation. Now I should say here that yes, this is obviously just an artistic choice to convey speed, not illusion manipulation. We're just having a bit of fun here, so don't worry about it. Illusion manipulation is good for Scott because Superman is famously susceptible to magic and magic adjacent things. Number 6, items. While he doesn't have any items at the moment, with the one he got being unusable to him, we decided that should he get any items that he can actually use and keep, he can use them in the fight with Superman and gain whatever benefits they offer. Okay, so with these abilities, we stayed with our provisional answer to the question that no one's asking. No, Scott Pilgrim can't beat Superman in a fight. Will that change after delving into this 3rd book? Will he do anything new? Will what he can already do be built upon? We shall see. First though, thoughts on this book. Again, this isn't really a review video, we're sort of just looking at the superpowers, but for the sake of completion, I'll give my opinion on it real quick. I like it more than the second one. I mentioned in the first video of this series that I really like it when the characters... I mentioned in my first video that I really enjoy this series when the characters are just sort of hanging out, when they're sitting and talking and chilling and exploring their motivations, as opposed to when the series is trying to be epic, and especially when the series is trying to be funny. And there's a lot of just sitting around talking here. It's low-key, it's relatable, it's pleasant, it's very nice. As are the flashbacks, because there are significant flashback scenes in this book, mainly exploring the past between Scott and Envy Adams, who is the lady on the front of the book, who's sort of like a secondary antagonist and a secondary protagonist at the same time. It's quite interesting. The flashbacks sort of flesh everything out, which is a good way to describe this whole book actually. Fleshy. There's a lot of meat on the bones. There's also a lot of people being genuinely mean and rude to our titular character, and he suffers emotionally and physically. This is a positive. Scott Pilgrim still sucks,
though noticeably less. There is this, like a visual reflection of him growing somewhat as a person, deciding to not be a total rat when he sees someone he personally wronged. And while he's less of an unforgivable knob, he still is an unforgivable knob. So when people are rude and mean and violent to him, or he gets a beat down, or he's in pain, it makes you as a reader feel good on the inside. So yeah, much more bearable book. It's quite a sad book as well, I suppose, hence the name. Also, remember these were panels in the last book. Well, now this is a panel in this book. Is Brian Lee O'Malley trying to tell us something about himself? Okay, that's my thoughts. On to the superpowers. The first superhuman thing we see from Scott in this book is an attempted interaction with a save point. For now, this is very similar to the subspace highway in his head. It's there, it's definitely superhuman. I mean, I can't see save points, can you? But because he doesn't actually do anything with it in this book, it's not really something worth digging into. At least not for now. Scott then takes a beating at the telekinetic hands of the third evil X in a sort of pre-fight fight, which, on a funny side note, does have its own page on the Superpower Wiki. Veganism empowerment as a variation of food empowerment. The internet truly is a wonderful place. Scott gets thrown through a wall and launched into the air, both of which does nothing to him, and neither does an entire building collapsing on top of him. He's got a supernatural body, remember. Does he just have that? Or is he more? Todd Ingram, the third evil X, and the guy Scott fights in this book, punched a hole in the moon. Actually, he punched 2 holes in the moon, and Scott physically damages him. According to the internet, it would take 1.24 times 10 to the 29 joules of energy to blow up the moon. Let's say these holes are about 1/30th of the size of the moon. So divide 1.24 times 10 to the 29 by 30, and that gives us Todd's punching energy of 4.1 times 10 to the 27 joules. The most powerful nuke in the world, the Tsar Bomber, has an energy yield of 2.1 times 10 to the 17 joules. This means Todd Ingram can punch with 2 times 10 to the 10 Tsar Bombers. That's 1/0 off 2 Googleplexes worth of the most destructive bomb in the history of the world. And Scott can physically damage this guy. He even nuts him so hard, he evaporates. I think this absolutely puts Scott at the top end of the supernatural body. For that top end, the wiki reads, strong enough to move skyscrapers or even planets with incalculable strength, fast enough to move at or beyond the speed of light, and invulnerable to virtually all physical harm. I mean, it says incalculable strength, and we literally just calculated it, but those calculations were almost certainly wrong. So yeah, incalculable strength. I don't think Scott is able to transition into the next level above supernatural body, because I don't think he ticked every box of what I just read out. And the next level, absolute body, is completely nutso. But what I do think is that now Scott Pilgrim is absolutely a physical match for Superman. Also, Todd Ingram was played by Brandon Routh in the Scott Pilgrim movie, who also played Superman in Superman Returns. Is there a connection there? Does it mean something? Maybe to someone somewhere. Now, here's a question for you. Is this Scott using a subspace highway, or is it just Ramona leading him through it? We know for sure that she can use them, and we haven't seen Scott use one on his own yet. So I'm inclined towards the latter. So for now, we won't say Scott is using it. And now we have something that is probably the most game-changiest thing to ever game change. Scott thinks this. And then this happens. This is, well, let's be honest, it's hanging a lampshade on an instance of not so great writing, and something the movie adaptation changed for the better. But it is also Scott actively manipulating the fabric of his own reality through the implementation of real-world literary devices. If Scott can just think something and then it happens, in a hypothetical fight with Superman, he could think, I could really do with some kryptonite right now, and then he'd have some. This is huge. I don't think it is quite the instant win button it seems on the surface. I don't think he could just will Superman out of existence, because otherwise he would have just willed the evil X out of existence. It seems more like a willing stuff into existence type of thing with a mild amount of setup. Still huge though. The last thing we see of Scott is his acquisition of an extra life. This, much like the save point from the beginning, is not really something worth delving into here because he doesn't use it, but is, much like the save point from the beginning, something we should keep in mind because I got a feeling they're going to come up later. So, can Scott Pilgrim beat Superman in a fight yet? It just got dark, it just got real dark. There's the sun. I'm still going to say no, but he is closer than ever, and I promise I'm not just longing this out for tension throughout the video series. He is now a physical match for the Man of Steel. That's not nothing, and neither are the illusions from the previous book and the fourth wall manipulation from this one. And we can't sleep on the subspace stuff or the save point or the extra life, all of which have the potential to be the real deal. I think we can sleep on the force field stuff though, which I can only see as a good thing. So for the moment, Scott can't beat Superman. We got quite a lot from this book. It really was just an expansion on the stuff he can already do with a couple more seeds sown, but it was still quite a lot. I knew about the fourth wall thing going into this, but I'd totally forgotten about the moon stuff. I genuinely look forward to adding more things to Scott's side of the equation, or building on what he's already got, because a fair fight is a good fight. That's why you don't see Death Battle doing stuff like Thanos versus David Brent.
Hello, thanks for watching, getting to the end of the video. Again, thanks so much for getting to 100 subscribers, it really does mean a lot. So yeah, let's just go up and up and up. So thanks again.